Hey everybody, what's going on? It's Monday, August 17th, and this is your Grand Portage Community Garden update. Just starting out the day with a little bit of harvesting. Got a bunch of cucumbers again. Looks like something's been gnawing at my stuff here. I've got tomatoes and cucumbers that have been chewed on. Finally have a good run of peas. The first trellis of peas that I planted didn't do well, and now the second one's finally starting to come in. So yeah, everything's looking pretty good. I excavated this area here because years and years of compost pile after compost pile just being hand shoveled out left it to be quite lumpy and uneven, and the gate only opened about 4 feet. So now I got it all set up, put this wheel. This is my second one. I got one on another gate too, and they work out pretty well. As long as the ground's nice and dry, which I had to do some trench work here to make sure that it drains out properly. But so far so good. This hoop house is pretty weedy right now, but really productive. I've got a lot of tomatoes that are producing really nice. I actually just harvested the first bunch of tomatoes that have turned red in here, and then the cucumbers have been going pretty steady. But I get basil, and I've got turnips in here too. Kind of hard to see with all the weeds, but I just kind of pull weeds as I need to. There's just so many. And then in here, these cucumbers too are just going crazy. I'm getting some activity here, munching on them off and on, I noticed. But yeah, just this lightweight twine has been holding up pretty good for my string trellises here. And the peppers are really getting big now, actually. They're just fully loaded. Pretty much all of them are just loaded with peppers. So the first bunches, or first couple peppers on each plant that I saw, I clipped to try to get them to produce more. And oh, look at the big snake. Oh. But I think that really helped them out. Some of these ones further back here aren't really producing much, but hopefully they will before the end. Yeah, I've already done some work removing different rows, like the broccoli here I removed already. The asparagus I've just been letting run wild. This trellis here is just about to go. I barely got any peas off it, but there still was a few plants producing in there. This row of carrots is halfway gone. This half of this was potatoes, the rest is melons. So the potatoes here I already harvested out. Most of this cabbage is history, and that group there with the tall flowers, that's bok choy that's gone. So I'm gonna probably flail mow it all here pretty soon, and then till it up later. All the garlic here, this is all weeded out now and it's gone. This is a weeded out row of carrots that don't seem to be growing. And then same with the carrots and the beets. I really didn't have much luck with. I mean, I got some carrots, but they may as well be baby carrots. The parsnips, I pulled one, it seems to be doing good, but the corn, my goodness, man, it's pretty much almost ready. I've just pulled one, and oh, it was so delicious just eating it raw. I think I'm gonna give it till next week at this time before I actually harvest it, but wow, it's delicious. I'm really impressed with it. I do have these honeydew muskmelons there. Pretty decent amount. There's probably a couple dozen. I think there's plenty of time for these to fully mature. They're getting there. I think they're about 3 weeks out. I'm just looking at the texture, and we've got a good another month of nice weather before the nights start really dropping down, so I should get a good amount. And this row of zucchini is doing well. The few sun golds that survived are really producing well. These few acorn squash don't seem to be producing all that much, but these Muscovies that I did the Florida weave method on are already really ripe, and I pulled off about a dozen today. Here's my second row of corn, and then beans up there, which I have to harvest yet. And these potatoes are almost ready to harvest. They won't be very big, I can see already based on the other ones, but they're wilting and dying back, so I'll harvest these. And yeah, these peas are doing much better than the first batch, and the more I harvest, the better they'll be. Where I'm standing now is a strawberry patch, and I harrowed this all out because it was just so weedy. And I'm debating on whether or not I'm gonna till it completely and just try to get them out of there, because I've got another big strawberry patch, and this could be 2 more rows of, you know, some other sort of vegetable. And since this is my one big fenced in area, I want to utilize it. You know, I could even have 2 big rows of tomatoes over here. So I'll have to think about it and figure out a plan for next year, but yeah. Of course, all my lettuce that I've been harvesting, you know, is just continuously replenishing itself. You can kind of see this is like the first area that I harvested, and it's almost ready to be harvested again. And the further up you get, you know, this is the stuff I got last week. And this stuff I haven't even pulled yet, but it's pretty much ready to go. Some of it's even bolting. I made myself a little man door here to have access to this side of the garden. This fencing here had come loose, and there was, you know, it was just open for wildlife to come in. So I thought I'd make this little man door to have access to this area. So what I got planned is, if I can excavate this area and flatten it out a little bit, I know there's tons of rocks and it's really soft, which makes it difficult with a bobcat, but if I can, I'm gonna try. I'm gonna put some raised beds in here, 2 4x16s, and probably just have it be like herbs, and I don't know, whatever. Actually, I'm not gonna restrict myself to anything, but it should be pretty sweet. And then this is a new plot that I made for the next person who wants a plot up here. There's a lot of plastic to be picked up out of here because someone had put this black plastic down, which is just ends up being a nightmare. It becomes so brittle and it gets buried and people forget about it, and then when you ever do anything, it becomes part of the ground, and no one wants plastic everywhere, but there it is. But this is a pretty good sized plot. Never been used before, so the ground is really nice. I've tilled through it several times now and got rid of most of the rocks, but yeah, it's ready. Here's my marigold plantation. I planted these fairly late in the year, and I'm surprised that they came up so quick, but yeah, here we go. These should produce plenty of seed. I used the last of my seed to you know, plant this. So if I get a good amount of seed heads out of these, and I'll have seeds for a lifetime. Here's the wood I'm going to make those raised beds out of. Some of it anyway. It's nice and weathered, and it's not treated. I think it's pine. It's going to be nice. We got a few little crab apples forming. This is one of the older apple trees in here. Couldn't tell you what sort of apples they are, but I think they're just little crab apples from what the looks of them are. Some of these other apples got ringed by some voles and need to just come out. But you can see some other stuff is growing around them, so we'll just kind of have to see how they work out here. Otherwise, I might just rip them out. See, this one here is history. I mean, there's some more stuff coming out at the bottom there. I think that's apple tree there. And although this one leafed out this year, this one got completely ringed too. So here's the expansion. I planted some clover in here, which seems to be growing slowly. But in this area, I planted buckwheat just as cover crops because this ground wasn't really mainly because the fencing wasn't up. We weren't going to plant corn or anything like that in here. It had just been devastated by deer and raccoons and stuff. But this squash has been really productive, and it's just starting, you know, essentially. You got a few different types here. I think that one's Calabasa, Buttercup, Delicata. Oh, here's the Buttercup. I planted all these really far apart thinking that they would sprawl a lot more, but you know, I mean, there's a lot of space in here yet that's unused. So, well, there's always next year. You know, I planted this other sort of squash called ancient squash, and I still have yet to see it. There's something. I'm not sure if that's it or... I do have my eye out for it, and I haven't seen it starting to form yet. But, oh, this might be it. This might be it here. I think this just gets gigantic. We'll have to just keep an eye on this one and see what happens with it. So in here is the big strawberry patch, and I mowed it. I mowed it all because it was so weedy. And of course all the strawberries coming back, but of course the weeds are too. And what I plan on doing is at the end of the year, just doing a real light harrow on it and just bust up the surface and then carry a bunch of sawdust over here and covering the whole thing in sawdust. There's like a 30-year-old pile of sawdust less than a mile away from here that I could have, you know, quick access to. Because this strawberry patch would be amazing if you could manage the weeds. And I don't think there's ever been much of an attempt to manage the weeds. So that's kind of where I'm going with this for next year. And then this area here, I've been getting rock and metal and stuff out of it. Tilled it several times now. Could go for another, just to keep getting stuff out. Leveling it a little bit. It's been really lumpy. So yeah. So this area is going to be the second big plot, where next year it's just going to be incredible. Hoping to put a bunch of corn in here, like on this side, and then on the other side over there where I got the clover planted, just have a bunch of corn, and then strawberries, and maybe I'll do beans where the squash is now. And yeah, so that's what's up. You guys ought to come visit. Come to our farmers market on Wednesdays and check out the vendors. You'll have a good one. Peace.